I'm A.K. Gumbiade. I'm a black man who sucked at basketball growing up. I think it's important to think about historically why it's so important for black men to be really good at basketball. Because if you think about it, it's the first thing we stole from the white man, you know? Like, before we learned it was so easy to steal their women, you know what I mean? Like, we were just... So couple that with my first name being Abdul Kareem, which sounds so close to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the LA Lakers basketball legend. I'm expected to be fucking great. But I suck. It's the same feeling you get when you meet a white guy from Alabama and he's not racist. You're like, damn! I really wanted to fight you, but now I gotta be nice, you know what I mean?
All right, welcome to Pit to Punchlines, everyone. Once again, I'm your host, A.K. Gumbiade. Super excited to have this episode with you guys. Joining me today is a good friend of mine, Mohamed Abdelhamid. We're going to talk about some fun stuff. You ready, Mo?
Brother, I've not heard someone introduce me as my full name like that before in a very long time. So yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited.
Did it feel like your mom was calling you off or something? Is that
It felt, yeah. There's a little bit of fear that went through me, but yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna talk about a lot of fun things today. To start off, though, I have one important question for you. Mm-hmm. Are you black?
Ooh, jumping right in deep end. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm originally Sudanese.
Okay, cool.
So born in Sudan, 2 Sudanese parents.
Yeah.
Sudan is a melting pot.
Yeah.
Most people aren't aware, but we have the full spectrum of skin tones.
Yeah.
As you can see,
Yeah.
my ancestry was they dabbled in the white arts.
What?
So we had we've had Saudi ancestry, Turkish ancestry, Egyptian ancestry. So we're a bit of a blend.
I can imagine.
But if you look at my family, if we line up in a row, some of us are Idris Elba's, some of us are Rachel Dolezal.
Oh, not the Rachel.
Yeah, we are here. So yeah, I mean, identity-wise, we've always had a bit of a crisis in Sudan about what are we?
Yeah.
We're a mixture of Arab, black.
Yeah.
So I refer to myself as black.
Okay.
I'm in the U.S. Others refer to me as black, so I'll take what they
There we go. Well, we're going to get into that because as you guys saw from the joke at the start of the episode, this episode is going to talk about the ideas of what it means to be black, how people view it in that way. And Mo, you told us a little bit about kind of your background in terms of course, where you were born, where your family's from. Tell us a bit more about where you grew up and just like, you already talked a little bit about how you identify yourself, but we're going to get into that though.
Yeah. So I born in Sudan, moved when I was 6, 7-ish.
6, 7?
We migrated to Belgium. My dad was in shipping, so he traveled the world. And they finally decided to put him up in an office in Belgium. Spent a year there. Funny enough, that's where I learned English.
Oh, in Belgium, okay.
In Belgium, of all places. My dad was
That's a choice.
He was very strict. He was like, no one speaks Flemish in this world. You're going to go to a private school and learn English. So yeah, I learned English there.
That's fair.
Then he got relocated again to the UK. We moved over there, which was reason behind it. My mum was born in the UK back in the day.
Gotcha.
So she had a British passport. We had the British passport through her. So it was just much easier to go to the UK. And yeah, just been in the UK ever since. Moved out here 4 years ago.
Okay.
Fell in love with an American.
Yeah, it happens.
She dragged me over here. So now I'm an expat.
Okay, that's what's up. No, thanks for sharing that. So I wanted you to talk about that a little bit because part of the influence, or rather the motivation for this episode is because you grew up in the UK, well, after Belgium, and I grew up in the US after Nigeria, right? I also consider myself black, right? And we'll see. But for me, I think the idea of how people define that and how you see yourself and also how other people see you is super interesting. And I want to get into how that differs between my upbringing, or rather me growing up here versus you growing up there, and how that plays out, because it could be entirely different. I was like, okay, let's get into this because it's not the same. So let me talk about like the joke a little bit, and then we're going to talk about like different ideas, right? So the joke plays on the idea that my first name is Abdul Karim or Abdul Karim, right? I often went by Kareem in high school, and whenever I didn't, to be honest, I didn't play basketball growing up. I went to school, I came back home, and I, did what I was supposed to do, and I was a big nerd, right? So I didn't really, sports in that regard were not that important to me. But when I started playing a little bit, I remember in like middle school, maybe even in elementary school, actually, people just assumed that I was good, right?
Yeah.
With you're black, your skin is black, you have the name Kareem, your accent is American accent, like, why do you suck so much? Like, I don't, like, people were just confused, like, what is wrong with you, right? But I think it goes into a deeper conversation in terms of expectations on people who are black in the U.S., regardless of, like, where you're from. Your outward identity, at least in the U.S., is that you are a black dude, so why do you or not do these certain things? So I'm like,
Get in the box.
Exactly, right? Like, this is your box.
Yeah.
Why the hell are you getting out of it? Like, make it make sense from that perspective. So I'm like, okay, for me, here's the things are expected, right? You're expected, of course, to be good at sports, expected, especially basketball, right? Expected to be able to run fast. You're expected to, like, be, particularly when it comes to sports, be good at that.
Yeah.
Not really expected to be smart, not really expected to speak, like, different languages. You're kind of have these things that are kind of given to you, and that's, like, all that's expected of you to a certain extent. It can be applied to your friends, but also your teachers to a certain extent, who may have less expectations of you, just like seeing your skin tone. But
Can I preface?
yes, please.
Those expectations aren't from our community, though.
Oh, not at all.
No.
Not
Let's
at
just say
all.
that's, yeah. Others looking in have these expectations. Yeah.
Well, to actually piggyback on that, so there are a couple questions, ideas I'm thinking of. Obviously, the English also had history of slavery as well. I don't know many just black Brits, if that makes sense. You know, you got like people who, have that history or from the UK. One, do they exist, and how much of them are there? Because a lot of people I know are either African of some type, moved there, or like Jamaican, just like Caribbean, right? And also, two, are there in the same way certain expectations people have of black Americans the same for black Brits? Just looking at that from that perspective, as far as you know.
So, Black British, the Black British identity, I think it's been around for centuries. A lot of people assume that the black population really spiked during the Windrush era with a lot of the Caribbean coming over, or a lot of West African people coming into the UK. But really, there's been documented. Historians have found in the royal family there are people who've been married into black people.
Interesting.
There's a lot of tapestries that depict black individuals in like noble positions.
Gotcha. As in from other noble families who are black.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So I believe I don't want to screw this one up, but there was a
We'll fact check later.
yeah. Get the Wikipedia up. There was a family who focused on tailoring. I want to say I think it was tailoring for King Henry.
Okay.
Who was black. So I mean, did they have the most noble positions in the UK? I'm not sure. That's my stat. I just don't know.
Gotcha.
But they were there.
Okay.
And obviously slavery was a thing. I don't know the specifics of numbers and dates. I do know, though, there was an interesting fact I found out recently. Up until, I want to say it was like 2016, black people in Bristol were still paying a tax, or a portion of their tax was going towards a debt that was from slavery. It was basically a loan that was taken out to pay slave owners to
I actually heard about this.
yeah to buy off the
Yeah.
slaves essentially so that the slave owners weren't in a negative position.
Right.
So up until 2016, black people were still paying
Dang.
I guess a loan that freed their ancestors.
Interesting.
Mental.
That's wild.
Yeah. So the UK has a sordid history anyway, but when it comes to black slavery, it's pretty rough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. That's interesting. Okay. And then like nowadays, like let's say in modern England, are there expectations, or rather either good or bad, of if you are black, like what is expected of you in society?
It's a tricky one to answer.
Right. Because I mean, I don't expect it to be the same in any way.
It definitely isn't the same. I think
Yeah.
the US definitely does a job of grouping people. In the UK, funny enough, there's groupings within the community.
Okay.
So there are stereotypes for the Caribbean community. There are stereotypes for the West African, East African, South African. Like every community has a level of negative stereotype
That's
attributed to them.
Are they always negative? That's a question.
No.
Okay.
West Africans, Nigerians are known for excelling academically.
Overachievers.
They try. East Africans were known for huge foreheads and arses. That's just what we do.
Damn.
No, I'm joking. I mean, not always negative, no. But again, it's not as persistent as it is here.
Okay.
I just feel like here, as soon as I got here, I just felt like everyone was labeled immediately.
Yeah, interesting.
So when you introduced this topic to me, I was like, 100% get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it really, in my opinion, it's not the same.
Gotcha.
In the UK.
Yeah. No. And I didn't really expect it to be in many ways, but I think that the world and their view of people who are black often is, I think, painted by the U.S. and maybe the West, and also specifically the U.S. in many ways, right? So like the stereotypes that they have, like what they expect of people is that, right? It doesn't really matter anything else. Obviously, in the UK, the patterns of immigration, also the people who are considered black may have, of course, history somewhere else, and it seems like it's a bit more nuanced in that regard. I don't know. I think for me, when I think about like the black identity, I also kind of want to talk about the idea of what our people, when I said by our people, as in like people from our cultural background, and how they see blackness in many ways. You identify as black, I identify as black, is not a thing, right? As in it's not a big deal for us. It's easy for us to say that. But I do remember some of my uncles and aunts, even like my parents, when they're like, I am not black, right? like it's the idea that being black is seen as a negative characteristic or negative attribute because of what is portrayed in the media. Hence, interestingly enough, particularly here in the U.S., sometimes it's kind of an adversarial relationship between people who have West African origins and people who are African American being, and I'll be honest, I'll call it out. I think it's kind of a superiority type complex that they have in that regard. I don't know if you've kind of either experienced that or been able to see that nuance here while you've been here.
I've definitely experienced it. I'm married to an African American, so her family. I mean, I wouldn't say it was like it's negative, but they've spoken about it. You know, they've definitely made it a thing.
Yeah.
I will say though, I think it's important to define what black is.
Yes, agreed.
Because when you look at, I mean, in the UK, it's a very lazy way to define or group a group of people. Like I mentioned earlier, you have East Africans, West Africans. All of these people, in the eyes of a white British person, are black.
Yeah.
But if I was walking down the street and a black person stopped me and they're like, "Oh, where are you from?"
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, "Oh, I'm black." I'm going to say, "Oh, I'm Sudanese." You'd say, "Oh, I'm Nigerian." So you go back to that.
Right.
In the UK, in the US, obviously, given the history of slavery, they don't have that to lean back on. Oh, not even to lean back. They just don't have that record.
Right.
They don't know what the initial ancestry is.
Of course.
So that's why I honestly believe that we're labeled as black.
Yeah.
But only American black people are black.
That's fair.
They've created a culture. And
Interesting.
I kind of get tired of people saying, but what are they? How many generations have they been in this country? They're American.
Yeah, they're American.
These are American people.
Right.
So I think it becomes...
Built this country.
Hey, brother.
Right.
So it's time to... I think a lot of us outside of the American community to just be like, okay, we're labeled as black.
Yeah.
But let's not try and take something from them.
That's true. Yeah.
Because we're not.
Right.
Like,
right.
And they've had enough things taken from them.
No, definitely.
People bite from their culture all the time.
No, that's fair.
And I think, at some point we have to kind of say, sure, you might label me as black.
Yeah.
But I'm not just going to ride someone's coattails and be like, oh, yeah, I'm with them. No, we're not.
Of course, no, that makes sense. I think it's important not to, of course, take what they had built in terms of like the global black identity and how they've established that from that. Definitely not. I also think it's important not to try to separate yourself from that as well. And I say that because I think about different artists, activists, and other people who I think have tried to push the idea of a global black identity. And the importance of that in many ways, from obviously Malcolm X and Fela Kuti's in the back, like over there, and that, right? And the idea that, yes, when we talk about, let's say, black culture and who has brought that to prominence, have to give respect to people who are African American, of course, who have a history of slavery here, but also not to take away from the idea that having a global black identity is something important, and for unity perspective, which I think is important to think about, because I think sometimes when it comes to African communities, specifically talking about the ones in the U.S., when they're like, get here, and they're like, I am not black, like I am this, and they're separated, and also, of course, say things that look down upon people who are African American. I'm like, nah, you can't do that. Like that's
go to the corporate world and see how they see you.
Exactly. You see yourself different.
We're all one here.
Yeah, exactly. And even for me too, when I think about it, I've been talking to my sister about this. My sister is very interesting in the sense that we have the same dad, a different mom. So her mom is African American, my dad's Nigerian, and for her, she kind of talks about this in a very different and nuanced way as well, because for her, like, she's kind of experienced both, let's say, African American culture, but also Nigerian culture. And, for her, we had different experience in terms of how the idea of a black identity can actually also help you maybe later on in life in terms of, let's say, in the work world. I'm in medicine, and I think within medicine, it doesn't matter whether you're, this black or that black, African or whatever, there's a lot of unity that is there because there's not that many black people overall in medicine. So I think we are all more likely to want to help each other, and we do. Whereas my sister actually felt like it was a bit different for her in the sense that she felt like she works in the world of business more. So she felt like there's more help if people knew that she was Nigerian, as opposed to, for her just being black in general. And it may just be because there's like a lot more people in the business world than there is in like much, much smaller, let's say, medicine world, where you don't have the flexibility to be like, I'm going to choose this person instead of that person. So that nuance is very kind of different to me, because I didn't assume that, because I assumed that, well, hey, for me, I was black and all the black people helped me get to where I am. But for her, she's like, nah, I think we're still more separate in some ways, whereas people within smaller communities will want to help each other regardless of whether they consider themselves black or not. It's just like, oh, no, we're actually Nigerian, have something more specific. So I don't know. I think the idea of unity is something we are still working on. I don't have perfect yet within like the idea of just being black here.
I have a theory.
Okay, let me hear it.
I think that in this country, black Americans are still treated worse than people who are coming from the continent.
I agree.
So, and they're very much aware of that.
Yeah.
So once you're aware of something like that,
Yeah.
I think it almost like naturally, we're human beings.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel some kind of way about someone who comes in
Yeah.
and gets given an opportunity or benefit or a privilege that I wasn't
Right.
afforded.
Right.
So, which actually speaks to how terrible it is, like the current situation is.
Right. I agree. I agree.
So I don't excuse it.
Yeah.
I think we should work towards,
Yeah.
finding a place where we can all kind of say
Yeah.
we are better together than we are apart.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I definitely get it. I
Yeah.
definitely understand why they feel the way they feel about people who are coming from the continent.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Why people have a perception that an African coming in from the continent
Right.
is they don't have the same stereotypes as an Black American,
Right. Right.
which is sad. I
Yeah.
mean, but it's the truth. It's the reality.
No, I agree with that 1,000%. Interestingly enough, I think like this, it's kind of ridiculous, and I think it's done to sow more divisions in many ways, right? And one of the things I really hate, I've seen a lot on social media, which honestly pisses me off, is the idea that I see often these white content creators will bring their African friend and will talk about, yes, Nigerians, or let's just take Nigerians. Nigerians, they're so successful, and this, and that. Why can't the African Americans do
There you
this?
go.
And I hate that. I hate that so much because it takes one particular thing. It does not pay attention at all to the whole problem that is there, and then tries to use one community as an excuse for like why the rest. And when you're like, oh, you want to forget all of like the systemic oppression that has been here and all this other, it's like ridiculous, right? It's just I hate that so much. I'm like, you cannot use our community, and the truth is, unfortunately, some Nigerians go along with it. Be like, yeah, I'm like, bro, you just don't understand anything.
I think some people who are afforded a privilege, they don't want to lose that. So they will just, let's just keep the status quo. Let's just, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. As long as I'm winning, it is what it is. And it's sad. It's just a sad reality of this country. Sometimes, like as regularly, the Black community is just trod on.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
From all angles.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately. It is what it is. One topic I wanted to bring about in this conversation is maybe like a fun, but also we'll get into it. Is the idea of being Black and expectations in sports?
Let's get into it.
Obviously, I think in the U.S. There's a lot of that, but just to maybe focus on the U.K. a little bit, is there that same expectation that you're expected to be good at sports if you are Black?
It's a tricky one because yes.
Okay.
So, give you a little bit of background. Okay. I grew up in a predominantly white area. Like when I say predominantly, I was our family was the only family in my neighborhood. By neighborhood, I'm talking 6 schools.
Dang.
The only Black family.
Okay.
So, yeah. I destroyed them in sports.
My man says destroy.
Yeah, brother. It felt like I was an NBA player going up against not even G League, brother. I was talking like high school starting five.
Okay.
It was no competition. I'm joking. There was definitely,
but he's not.
there was definitely an expectation that you're Black, you're going to be running fast. Actually, correction, there was one other Black person in my school.
Yeah.
He was much older than me. I think when I joined the high school, he was graduating.
Okay.
He was, oh my God, Usain Bolt.
What are you doing? Take it! What?
The Usain Bolt of my neighborhood.
Gotcha.
But again, and I fell for the same thing. I was like, yeah, of course he is. Naturally. But there was definitely an expectation for sports. There was an ignorance, I think, in my community. I mean, I moved to the UK in 97, 96, 97. That time it wasn't like, especially up north. I grew up in the north of England, which was very rural.
Okay.
They didn't really see Black people.
Yeah.
They didn't know much about the Black community. So it was, there was an ignorance that at times, honestly, most of the time, I have to say I had a good experience.
Okay.
So I was, and I'm not saying that to say that racism doesn't exist. Yeah. I was very lucky. People around me just weren't that, they weren't that negative. So they just didn't know better.
Okay, gotcha.
Because they just weren't exposed to it. The internet wasn't that big of a thing.
Makes sense.
I actually had an experience where this girl, I was friends with her brother.
Yeah.
She saw me for the first time, let out a little, ha! And her brother had to explain to me, I'm the first Black person she's ever physically seen.
How old were you when this happened?
11, 12. Yeah. So that it just shows you that that's the community I grew up in.
yeah.
But it wasn't out of fear or anything. It was just a curiosity.
Yeah, gotcha.
But sports wise,
Yeah.
there was definitely an expectation that you were going to be the fastest or the strongest or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, in my case, just happened to be.
I mean, sometimes it be true. I mean, what you do?
I will also say British sports
Yeah.
cannot do nothing with a basketball, brother.
Yes.
I bricks every single. I am
fair.
terrible.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And that was actually a very big insecurity for me coming to this country.
Interesting.
Embarrassing to say.
Yeah.
I remember all my friends were like, "Oh man, like what are you gonna miss? Like all of this."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah, there's so much in the UK I'm gonna miss."
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, what are you like apprehensive about?"
Yeah.
They were obviously asking the question to be like, you know, there's racism or this, or what do you worry about? I was like, I'm scared of black people looking at me and be like, "Hey, we're running a quick game, are you in?"
5-on-5.
Yeah, 5-on-5. Let's go. Skins. What? I can't. I can just about dribble. I'm chucking up. I'm throwing. See. I don't even know what this term is. What is it? Jump shot. My jump shot.
All good.
I am.
All good.
TV.
Yeah, I know the TV. Hold on.
Whimsical.
It's all good.
Yeah, basketball. I was just not that good. My jump shots, I was throwing them one-handed. I'm just not good at basketball, so I was petrified that was going to be a reality. I was going to come here, and it's just so silly. Like, but I was going to be at a YMCA, and someone was literally going to be like, "Let's go, let's get it going." Yeah, it hasn't happened yet, but
All right.
yeah, if it does, embarrassing.
All good. I was gonna say, like, the first time you came to the U.S. though, when was that? Do you remember?
The very first time I flew into the US, me and a group of friends flew to New York back in 2015. I think,
Okay.
2015.
Okay. How was that experience?
I flew in on September 10th.
Okay.
To New York.
Okay.
With 3 friends of mine.
Okay.
Alex,
Yeah.
Yusuf,
Okay.
and Osman.
Oh, interesting.
It was an experience, brother. It was.
September 10th, you say.
Yeah. And my friends are very sarcastic.
Oh boy.
So
Best type.
I was concerned immediately.
Yeah.
We get to the airport, obviously high security, high alert, and I'm just panicking because I'm like, one of these brothers is going to say something
gonna do
that's just
something.
outlandish.
Yeah.
They asked us some interesting questions. I'll give you that much. Screenings happened.
Okay.
One of the questions asked, are you now, have you ever been a part of Al-Qaeda?
Standard run of the mill, right?
But me being me, petrified,
Yeah.
in front of a person with a massive gun in front of me,
Yeah.
I was like, no, never once. Never once in my whole entire life. My other friend was like,
Wow. Bold.
yeah, they held him for a while.
Bold.
Luckily, he was let go, but yeah, it was just silly.
Bold.
But yeah, that was my entry into this country.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
it was an interesting one. I actually sometimes feel like my Muslim identity
Yeah.
is not questioned, but it plays more of a part in my identity here than my blackness.
Gotcha.
Obviously, light-skinned brother over here.
Oh,
it's not-
right.
It's a slightly different situation. But when you're Mohamed Abdelhamid, Isa Abdelhamid Ibrahim Al-Dawq,
Right.
it comes up a lot. It definitely comes up a lot. So yeah, the New York experience was interesting at the airport.
Yeah,
to say the least.
probably a more varied and I would say probably lighter experience than if you flew to, let's say, Idaho, and that was your first experience. Okay. I want to kind of reflect a little bit on about your perspective in terms of sports, right? Because we kind of started the episode talking about that, right? The expectations people have. For me, I already mentioned it before. I was expected to be good, whether or not I even had the physique of being someone who's good at sports. I mean, for Nigerians, I'm like petite size, essentially, right? I'm 5'10", right? But you're still expected to be good. You're expected to be faster, like regardless of all those different things. But I remember thinking about that a lot, right? And I think about that a lot from a little bit of a couple different perspectives. People tend to see what they are capable of doing based on their community. And I remember being very annoyed by the idea of just expecting Black people to be only good at sports. I say that because also when I was in medical school, when I was on my pediatrics rotation, I was in the south side of Chicago. I went to a pediatric primary care clinic around there. The supervising doctor happened to be this South Asian woman, and I saw a lot of Black boys and Black girls, very young, kids. And I remember I always asked them, "What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up?" And obviously, this is not statistics. This is just my own personal experience. But I remember a lot of the Black boys would always say something in sports, and I remember, I always being like, "Oh, what's your backup plan? What else are you doing? What else do you like?" Right. And I remember this supervising doctor was like, "You're kind of intense. You're what you call for those future tiger pairs or whatever." But for me, I remember doing that. And obviously we talk about, let's say, the Nigerian community, how focused that community is on education. And it's not that I don't think people should pursue sports. That is great if they're able to do it, great. But I just remember just thinking about that to a certain extent from both a historical but also sociological perspective, that for a lot of, let's say, African-American boys in this country, their pathway to success that they see regularly is either through sports and sometimes through entertainment, we can say. Not everybody, and I think things are changing, but majority, if you grew up in certain areas, are not as great. If people around you not necessarily successful, when you look at the media, that's what you see. And I thought about that in many different ways, because it took me back to kind of thinking about back during the civil rights movements to a certain extent. Sometimes for Black people who were successful, the main and only pathway was through sports or entertainment, because like the laws didn't allow you to get access to school, right? So you couldn't go down that pathway. But in addition to that, even if you wanted to go to school, your access to schools was limited because of segregation and other things as well. And I'm like, that's interesting from that perspective. And I think in those moments, I kind of reflected upon how the narrative that you have and how you see yourself in other people who look like you can dictate what you think that you can achieve. Yeah.
Well, I actually think there's a lot of similarities you can draw between the experiences that we've had living in our respective African countries and the experience of a Black community here, where growing up, my family's, like my extended family who was living in Sudan, they would never allow their kids to, like, if their kids turned around and said that we want to go to a liberal arts school, for why? What are you going to do with that? Right. There was definitely an expectation out of, like, survival instinct that you're either going to do law, medicine, or engineering. Like, they're the three things that you're pushed in. And I remember thinking, I felt sorry for them, growing up, thinking, the world's your oyster. Right. You should be able to do what you want, but the world really isn't our oyster. Right. Right. That's the reality. Yeah. We live in the now. We don't live in a utopian world where everything is available to you.
We do not.
So you really do lean into the strengths, or like your perceived strengths, because given your circumstance. Right. And I think that's similar to what the the Black community has done here. Yeah. Where again, like you said, you're limited in terms of your academics. Yeah. So what do? You lean on your strengths. Right. You lean on what you can do, what you've seen success in. Right. I think now we're coming to an age where, or we're approaching, I don't think we're there yet, we're approaching an age where there are so many examples of people who've made it or have been successful in multiple fields, outside of entertainment, outside of, like just entertainment.
Right, academics.
But I still think that there is a fear in the community that you only have one life. Yeah. You have a strength over here. Yeah. You have an opportunity, especially I think the scholarship programs. That's a massive incentive. Like I have a wife who had a volleyball scholarship. My brother-in-law had a football scholarship. Exactly. I spoke to my mother-in-law. She was like, I didn't want to pay. Exactly. I didn't want to have to pay for school. Exactly. They were gifted, naturally gifted. Exactly. So, of course, they're going to go in that direction.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah.
alhamdulillah, we praise God that they made it work. You know, they outside of volleyball, they have great careers.
Right.
But they had great parenting that allowed for that. And I think that maybe that's it. Maybe it's just about having good parenting that you push and you work towards your strengths, but you also have someone saying to you, listen, like you said with the candidates, like, listen, you gotta have a plan B.
Exactly,
exactly. Not everyone makes it to the NBA,
and we can't forget the I think unteachable skills that being in sports to a certain extent, something that has so much discipline teaches you. Obviously, like for people who are gifted athletically, but then also are nerds, like myself, but just people in general who like are smart, and there are a lot of people who can do both. Sports can also give you an opportunity, especially in this country, given how lucrative it can be, to not come out of college in debt, right? To have an opportunity to study in different ways, but also to kind of give you leadership skills in many different ways. And actually, I think about that a lot when I don't know if you've ever been to the Smithsonian Museum of African American History in D.C.
We queued up for 4 hours and it closed.
Oh.
Okay, it wasn't 4 hours. But we queued up for a little while, and then it turned out that it was closed. Yeah, biggest regret. One day. One day.
I love this museum. I've been twice now, and I remember kind of my thought process of I think what sports means to the idea of being black in this country. It helped that perspective grow in many different ways, right? Because it helped me see many things, right? Just from simply it being a gateway and a ticket to opportunity for when you didn't have any other gateway at all. Literally, it's the only way. We are a capitalistic society, so it was the one way people could. But then in terms of leadership, but then also when we think about what it means to be an athlete in maybe the civil rights generation compared to now, let's think about Muhammad Ali in that perspective and what it meant for him to get to that point and become so prominent. And I mean, it literally gave people so many different opportunities and what it meant both from civil rights to education to other things as well. Because as these people made money, not saying everyone did it, they also can put that back in their own communities as well. It was kind of like a gateway, which I thought for me was super sobering and amazing thing to reflect upon about perhaps how like sports did a ton of good within the black community.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think that but I think it was a different mindset back then.
It was.
I think these are people who just happen to be entertainers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Muhammad Ali didn't have to give back to the community. He chose to.
He chose to. That's true.
And I definitely think there are superstars in today's age who are giving back to the community.
Yeah.
But I don't see them as like leaders.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference with the position we live in now, where I'm not looking at LeBron for guidance. Like he's an incredible.
Not even a little bit.
I mean, he manages to keep that hairline crispy. I don't know how he does that one.
But he's bald now, but it's a different story.
Yeah, I don't know, some guidance there, but
yeah, no, I agree with you.
But but I just don't think that we have those, or maybe we just don't look at them. We look for them for that anymore. Yeah. Because I mean, like there was the Dave Chappelle skit. Yeah, it wasn't even a skit. This is real life. This is something that actually happened. Yeah. After 9/11, it was I think it was Fox News or CNN. Yep. And they were like, "Oh my God, this tragedy just happened. Yeah. We need to get Ja Rule on the line. Ja, what do you think about what just happened?" And Dave Chappelle's like, "I don't care. I really couldn't care what Ja Rule had to say about this."
Ja Rule.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're pushing entertainers as the role models. Yeah. When we do have people who can be true role models in the community, but they just I don't want to sound like conspiracy theorists.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I mean, we can put our little tinfoil hats on and get to work. But
next episode.
But yeah, I mean, maybe there's a reason why certain people don't want that. But yeah,
that's fair.
I think as a collective, we definitely the black community definitely has role models and leaders out there. We just we lean on the athletes a bit too much.
No, I agree. And I think perhaps the athletes are easier people to be able to people already like them, people already watch them a lot. Hence I don't want to say it's natural, but it's often easy just to kind of listen to whatever they have to say about all the things, whether or not it is within their lane or not, right? Because people may, because I, not that I'm giving LeBron or other maybe major athletes an excuse, but they're often asked about a lot of these things in the world, right? What do you feel about this? What do you feel about this? What do you feel about this? And maybe for them, the curiosity is not really there as much as it was in the past, or rather, they didn't have to be as they didn't have to be as thoughtful or know as many things because Muhammad Ali, like, he was a global superstar. Like, he went around the world learning about the world all throughout his life in different circumstances. And I think for him, of course, given the time of the civil rights movement, he kind of, I don't want to say he had to, but I think perhaps being sometimes maybe outside of the U.S. was sometimes better for him too. So I don't know, maybe that one built upon the other. Not sure, but that's kind of how I think about it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I agree.
But yeah, okay, cool. I don't know. I think for me, ultimately, like when I kind of thought about talking about this episode, it was just like a conversation about what it means to be black and like how that has fit within like our own identities and how that kind of manifests nowadays. But I think we went into like a couple different ways, which was great. But I want to say I appreciate your time for coming on the podcast, Mo. It was a riveting conversation with you as always. But for the rest of you guys, thank you for listening to Punchlines once again. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and we will see you next time. Peace.